Hello YouTube, how are you doing? It's nighttime where I am, so good night. But either way, so G4TV, a little background about G4TV, at least from my experience with it when I was growing up with it. G4 was more or less like a 90s TV network where they would have things like X-Play, Attack of the Show, and Code Monkeys, that was one of my favorite shows. And basically, it was gamer-related content that was kind of cringe but entertaining. And this was during the time when, people didn't have access to things like YouTube and Twitch to gain, people's opinions. So they would go to these types of networks in order to get their, fix when it came to connecting with things that related to what they were interested in. Unfortunately, with the rise of things like YouTube and Twitch, more people sought the common person when it came to the opinions of the gaming industry. Well, not just the gaming industry, but almost everything. That's why legacy media is slowly dying out. It's because more people go to YouTubers because they feel like they have a more raw voice instead of reading something from a teleprompt. But after years, they decided to bring back G4. And at first, it was very popular. A lot of people liked it. There was positivity around it. A lot of people wondered if it would survive, but they gave it the benefit of the doubt. But after a year, Comcast has decided to pull the plug on G4TV and then to come back try for the gamer-focused network. Now, this comes weeks after they had mass layoffs, and basically, yeah, it was dead on arrival. And let's read this article and we'll discuss. Comcast Spectre division is pulling the plug on video game-centric network G4TV, whose early incarnation in the 20s remains a cultural touchstone for many millennials just a year after its relaunch. In a memo sent to all employees, Spectator CEO, I really hope I'm pronouncing that name right, doubtful, David Scott explained that the company's investment and efforts to revive the network just didn't gain traction. A few dozen employees and contract workers are affected by the shutdown. Comcast said it will assist them with outplacement and consider some for internal opportunity. So that's at least something. They'll try and, give the workers somewhere else to go, but chances are they're not going to because, companies cut costs. The departure of Russell Ahrens, an experienced digital media executive who has come on board as G4's president in 2021, was the predecessor to today's news. Her duties were added to the portfolio of Joe Marsh, a Comcast Spectora vet who has been CEO of T1, an international esports joint venture with Korea SKW. It's more a fluff piece, and this is the official statement they gave to everyone. Team, as you know, G4 was reintroduced last year to tap into the popularity of gaming. We invest to create new G4 as an online and TV destination for fans to be entertained, be inspired, and connect with gaming content. Over the past several months, we worked hard to generate that interest in G4, but viewership is low, and the network has not achieved sustainable financial results. This is certainly not what we hoped for, and as a result, we have made the very difficult decision to discontinue G4's operations effective immediately. I know this is disappointing news, and I'm disappointed too. I want to thank you all and everyone on the G4 team for the hard work and commitment to the network. Our human resources team is reaching out to you to provide you with support, discuss other opportunities that may be available, and answer any questions you may have. Thank you again for all your hard work for G4. Sincerely, David Scott. Now, this sucks because it comes on Sunday, which means a lot of people probably thought, oh, there was a huge firing that took place. So a lot of these people thought we were coming back into work. We'll try and, make the best of everything. And then be hit with this. Yeah, that's not going to be great for a lot of people. And I know a lot of people are going to link this to the rant that was made by Frost, a while back. So one of the TV hosts, Frost, made this rant comparing a lot of her audience to incels and making comparisons to Olivia Munn and Morgan Webb. The problem was it was not the best thing to say to your audience. I get it. Everyone has problems in their job. And when you are the face of a network, especially if you're a woman, you're going to have a lot of insults hurled at you. It's going to happen. I've had lots of insults hurled at me from my look, from my dead channel, from a lot of things. And sometimes you just have to take a break, just shut everything off and just go into the bathroom or go somewhere else and, take a breather. I'm sure during that whole that production, our staff would have allowed her to just say, okay, I got to use the restroom or something. I don't know. But, I've been in that situation too where I just said, I need a break, go do something. But I know a lot of people are going to latch on because this was a major reason. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it. It was a large reason. And when it didn't help that after this, they actually invited Amaranth onto G4, and she did a lot of her adult-themed content that Frost actually condemned in that speech. Now, Amaranth has a current thing going on right now where she exposed her husband for being abusive, and I have a video on that. I'll leave it linked below. So right now, even though Amaranth is seemingly incredibly successful, she is, with everything that came out, it kind of puts you into a different light of her current situation and what she's going through right now, or has been going through for her entire time streaming. But yeah, so it didn't help Frost that G4 decided to go into the opposite direction despite all the applause that she got. And then after which it became even worse when the fire-ins happened and she tweeted this: "Let's go play some games. I survived." I get what she was going for here. Like, the idea is that she was pointing at the people who wanted her to get terminated and saying, "I survived." But it doesn't come off that way when you have a lot of your friends and colleagues who got terminated and you tweet that out. Like, if I was working at G4 and I saw that, it doesn't matter what you meant. It's how it's going to be perceived. And a lot of people perceive this as you being very jaded. And it's not the right move to make. Like, when someone loses their job, especially in a company you both work for, it's best to be more humble than it is to be like this and try and, I don't really know. Like, I get, yeah, again, she wanted to target the people who wanted her terminated, but it just looks very bad from everyone else's perspective. And let's face it, G4 has not been doing well for a long time. Like, this is not a single person. If this was a single person making this content, this would actually be pretty good stats. Like, I make these stats. Actually, I make better stats than this. And my channel is basically, I barely break 100 views, but my videos, my content, I do get more visitors than G4, which is alarming because when you're a company that employs dozens of people with full-time salaries and probably health benefits, you need to make bank. Like, again, if you're just a single person doing this by yourself, these are really good numbers. But the second you add another person onto the situation, these are really bad numbers. Then they tried to change the G4 account to the XPlay account, and it didn't go over well. So yeah, you can see here they're like in the last couple of days, 5,000, 6,000, 24,000. That's actually good, 24,000. But again, when you're a network being backed by a multi-million-dollar company with a big studio and lights and expensive cameras and, a set and all this stuff, it adds up. It really does. Like, I have to pay for Adobe software, which is not that big of a deal, but when you start to add things up, like Adobe software, Google Play Premium, because I need to add free content, computer repairs, monitors, all this equipment, it adds up for one person. But when you're an entire company, you can bet they're spending thousands of dollars every day. So yeah, it's not surprising that Comcast decided to pull the plug. Could have G4 survived? I think it could have, but they severely needed to downsize everything. Like, make things much more prudent and more sensible. Be frugal with the expenses. Don't go big and go home. Don't essentially go the motto, go big and go home. I would say you should have been much more smaller as you start to dish out this content. Like, maybe get a few people, then have some web cameras set up. Do things like that. Don't do a huge studio and stuff like that, because that's just a disaster waiting to happen. You have to be more frugal with everything you're doing. Like, like with E3, like, a lot of companies are going from having big, huge studio events to having, like, just one-on-one live streams like Nintendo was doing. And it's much more engaging, a lot more profitable, and a lot of people find it more, like, just a lot more entertaining. But when you have all that stuff, the thing is that streamers and content creators aren't going to connect to that stuff anymore. They look at that and they see, why do they need my money? But when you look at someone like myself, there are people out there who will be like, okay, he's doing a good job. I like what he's doing. I'll give him a few bucks here and there. And a lot of content creators do that, like Yang Ye, like even Game 3, a big channel like that. It's literally, sometimes it's just him on a couch just playing the game, and people reflect to that. They don't really connect to people who have huge studios anymore because it just seems such a disconnect between the average person. Either way, G4 is dead now, so we can't really say anything about it. I wish the best for everyone who gets this letter because it's devastating, and I understand I've been in a situation like this where I was like, oh, I'm unemployed, what do I do now? And those were times where I was not financially okay. Now I am, and I have freelance outlooks where I can, just get money from there. But yeah, not the worst part is that it's just the average person that suffers for this. Like the person who had to move out there to work at G4 now, they're no longer there. Either way, tell me what you think about G4 TV closing down. I love to hear your opinions on the matter. I'll be playing Dead Space 2 later, YouTube and Twitch. Follow me on Twitch, and Patreon is there as well. So until next time, thanks for joining me. Goodbye.